Hi guys, welcome to my channel. In this lecture, we will discuss about Azure Data Factory, one of the important component in Azure Cloud. My previous playlist, we have seen Azure Databricks, why we need Databricks, okay, what is the purpose of Databricks, all these things we have discussed. In this playlist, we'll start with the Azure Data Factory. So Azure Data Factory is a cloud ETL tool. Azure Databricks, it's a compute, okay, in-memory computation. It's a perform business logic efficiently to process the data. Implement business logic, we will use a Databricks. Here, Azure Data Factory is a cloud ETL tool. So without cloud, earlier in legacy Informatica, talent was there, right? ETL tools. ETL nothing but extract, transform, and load. That is in the Azure cloud, we have Azure Data Factory. That is cloud ETL tool. Using this Azure Data Factory, we can extract data from different sources, 100 plus sources, and we can transform that. We can apply business logic. That is nothing but transformations and load that data to target like Azure SQL, Synapse, or Delta Lake, or file system. Anything we can, anywhere we can dump the data. That is load the data. So that is the main first point in Azure Data Factory. Nowadays, for data engineering and data science projects, Azure Data Factory is widely using. That's why Azure became famous for data engineering projects. And second point is important point is a serverless integration service. Nothing but so without there will not be any server for every component, every connector. So directly without any server, we can connect to the 100 plus connectors. Okay, we will see at the end of this video what are the how many types of how many connectors are there, what how different types of connector we will see at the end of this video. That is the second point. We can read the data from 100 plus connector and load data to 100 plus connectors using Azure Data Factory. Third point is Azure Data Factory we will use, okay, to ingest and move the data from source to target. Okay, so nothing but a copy data. Copy data, you will use Azure Data Factory to copy the data from source to target. Okay, we will read the data from the source and we'll copy to the target. So there are 100 plus sources we can read, 100 plus targets we can dump the data. Mostly nowadays in the modern data engineering, to ingest the data, to ingest data from different sources, we will use the Azure Data Factory. Fourth point is data transform. Using Azure Data Factory, we can perform the transformations as well using data flows. In Azure Data Factory, we have data flows concept like a separate component. Using that, you can perform transformations, you can implement business logic without any coding. Okay, using small drag and drops, SQL kind of syntax, you can perform the transformations. You can implement the business logic in the ETL tool itself. So these transformations should be simple transformations like joins, aggregation, all these things you can perform in ADF itself. If it is a complex business logic needs to be implemented, then we should go for Azure Databricks. Okay, so complex business logic, if you perform, if you want to perform, then we have to use Azure Databricks. If small transformations like giant aggregations, SQL kind of transformations, directly we can use a data flows, which is one of the component in Azure Data Factory. Next, not only to transform and ingest the data, uh, Azure Data Factory will also be uh, used as a orchestration tool. For example, first some SQL job, then Azure Data Factory job. Sorry, some other activity. After that, once that is success, we can call another job. Like that, pipeline we can design. We can orchestrate the. We can prepare the orchestration. We can use as a Azure Data Factory. We can use as a code orchestration tool. Okay, job 1, job 2, job 3, job files, sending email. All these things we can do using Azure Data Factory. Next one is scheduling tool. Okay, using Azure Data Factory, we can schedule the job. Once development is done, in ETL, we usually will have pipelines, right? We need to schedule, right? For example, you have a one project, your source is Oracle, okay? Oracle, you are reading that Oracle data through ADF uh, and creating table in a Delta Lake, okay? For example, Azure SQL, okay? Source is Oracle, ADF for Azure SQL. Now, you today you have loaded one table using Azure Data Factory and created the table in the Azure SQL. Okay. Today, thousand records are there. Now you copied thousand records in a target like Azure SQL. Tomorrow, some 200 records came. So tomorrow also, the 200 records you need to fetch using Azure Data Factory and load to the Azure SQL. Right. So this task should be performed every day, right? So every day 6 a.m. you need to schedule this pipeline. That time that using Azure Data Factory, we can do that using triggers. Triggers are there. Different types of triggers are there. Okay, we'll see. We'll go through what are the different types of triggers. We'll go one by one in upcoming videos. Using triggers, we can schedule this job, okay, this pipeline to run every day at 7 a.m. like that. Whatever business defined timelines you can schedule. Next, the last point is Azure Monitor, ADF Monitor. ADF Monitor, using ADF Monitor, you can monitor the jobs. Okay. For example, today 10 jobs are running. Whether it is today it is success or failed, how to know? So if you go to monitor, you can see whether these jobs are completed or not. If fail, what is the reason? Error clearly you can see in the monitor. Okay, these are the important uses of Azure Data Factory. Description. Okay, it is a cloud ETL tool. If someone asks you what is Azure Data Factory means, you should explain all these things. Okay, it is a cloud ETL tool. First thing, it is a serverless integration services. Okay, serverless integration service. Nothing but we can read the 100 plus read data from 100 plus sources and dump data to 100 plus targets. Okay, we can just move the data. Fourth point, transformations also, small level transfer, small transformations like giant segregations we can perform using Azure Data Factory. So next, it is a we can use this as a orchestration tool. Nothing but in Hadoop we have Airflow, right? Okay. Similarly, we can use we can in on-premises how we have Airflow to schedule jobs. Same way in Azure Cloud we have Azure Data Factory. Scheduling tool we can schedule the jobs. Monitor we can check the daily status of the pipelines. Now we'll see how to create that in from Azure portal. Okay, go to home. This is Azure portal. If you are not finding any Azure Data Factory, just type in search bar Data Factory. I'm able to see here this one. Directly click on this. So I don't have any data factories now. I have to create data factory. basics. Okay, so it will ask, it will open one form of basics. Resource group it is asking. Just I'm selecting existing resource group. If there is no resource group, you can create new one. Okay, what is the data factory name? Okay, Azure Data Factory uh, training 2023-07. I'm giving name. Okay, region you can select the nearest region. I will select South India because I belongs to South India. My closest region is South India. That's why I selected. Azure Data Factory, two versions are earlier, version 1, version 2. Now version 1 is not there, only V2 is there, version 2. You can select that. Click on next. Next, Git configure. Git configuration. If your project has DevOps, okay, or else you want to save your whatever pipelines you are creating. If you want to save in a Git repository, just you can configure Git here. Currently, at this moment, I am not configuring any Git, so Git configure later is enabled. Next, networking. Networking enable managed virtual network on the default auto resolve runtime integration. Public endpoint only. Okay. For now, this is it for training purpose only, right? So I'm selecting public only. Okay. Real time it will be a private endpoint using a virtual VPN only. Uh, we can connect. Okay. And next advanced also I'm keeping as it is, and there is nothing to do. Okay, tags, whatever tags if you want, you can mention here. Next, review and create. Okay, all the details you can see here. Next, click on create. Deployment is in progress. Now what will happen, right? Now request will go to the data center, and there it will be created. Okay, deployment is succeeded. Okay, now click on data factory, sir. Refresh. Confirm email address. Okay. Okay. Now if you click on Azure Data Factories, you can see this. Okay. Now click on this. You can see all these options. Azure Data Factory Studio. You can see this is starter tutorials, training models, all these things. These are all for documentation. Okay. Now click on Launch Studio. It is opening Azure Data Factory. This is Azure Data Factory home page. You can see all these things ingestion here. Ingest, orchestrate to transform the data, configure SSIS. Okay, okay, these are some notifications. These are all, this is a home page actually, Azure Data Factory. These are all the things. This is home page, home button. This is author. Using author, you can create the pipelines, monitor, okay, manage section, all this other stuff you can do here. This is the learning center. Click on this author button, you can see all the options. So all the pipelines, you can see pipelines. Using this, you can create the new pipeline. Okay, change the data capture. Using that, whenever sources in source something changes happened, is immediately we can capture and update the target using Azure Data Factory or using this feature CDC change data capture data sets. Data sets also to create the pipelines we need a data set for source one data set, target one data set. All these things we need and data flows. Using this we can perform the transformations and Power Query. Power Query is nothing but Excel kind of operations. In data engineering, we will not frequently use it. Okay. So second point here, I told you it will support 100 plus connectors, right? So where you can see 100 plus connectors is new pipeline. Okay, new pipeline. Simply I'm creating one sample, copy data. Okay, source, new data set, right? Now see here. These are all can use 100 plus connectors are there. Using see Amazon S3 you can read Redshift you can connect blob storage, Apache Impala, data lake storage, data lake, SQL, Cassandra, DB2, okay, Google Cloud Storage, FTP, HDFS, Hive, MariaDB, MySQL, Netezza, Oracle, Postgres, SAP, all modules, SQL Server, Salesforce, Sybase, all these many connectors it will support. Okay, these many connectors it will support. Teradata also. So that's why everyone using Azure Data Factory, Azure Cloud for data engineering and data science project. For data science also, first, you need to prepare ETL pipelines, dump the data, then data is ready, then only data science can apply models on that, right? So for data engineering also, they are using Azure only nowadays. Okay, all machine learning libraries available in Azure Databricks. So this is briefly about Azure Data Factory introduction and how to create Azure Data Factory resource from the Azure portal.